That is awesome. Awesome, 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 awesome. And welcome back to the shed on this glorious day. Okay, so jumping right back in to that dresser I'm making for Lady Zephyrus aboard MV Zephyrus. Well, there's the carcass of it we made a little while ago, currently being used as a bench. What I'm going to get to today is making dovetail joints with the Porter Cable dovetail jig that I was gifted quite some time ago. And well, I've spent the morning tinkering with it and setting it up. I'm not saying I'm done, but I think I'm close enough that I can actually show you how it's going. There's a lot of settings. I'm not going to get into a full DIY on how to set up this jig because that is episodes just in itself. These are a very effective but relatively finicky setup, and there must be tons of stuff on the web to set it all up. I kind of just went with it. I kind of winged it, but it's working quite nicely now. A little bit of fine tuning, and let's do that together. Now, this aluminum plate on top is considered the dovetail template, and this jig can be bought with several of these. This is the blind dovetail jig, and in a minute you'll see what that means if you're not familiar with it. I've got it mostly set up, but one of the things that's making it difficult is the fact that I'm making the drawer fronts out of mahogany, but the drawer sides out of 1/2 inch Baltic birch. Now, the jig will do that, but only just. As the side gets thinner and thinner, it creates a bit of a problem, and 1/2 inch is just about the limit of it, especially because this isn't actually even 1/2 inch, it's slightly smaller because it's metric. So it's just barely working. The other problem is, of course, this is plywood, and it is prone to being to get tear out when you route the edge of it, so I have to be very, very careful. Now, the upside of that is it's also quite cheap, so I can have several passes at making drawer sides if I do a blowout. Anyway, I'll show you the way this all goes together. So the drawer sides slide in from the bottom, they sit up against the template, and they slide left against a little stop block there that I've set up, and they get locked into place by this cam. And then the drawer front slides in the top underneath the template and slides against that same stop. However, the stop is offset by 1/2 inch because the way the dovetail jig works, it cuts the slots and the grooves, so to speak, in one pass, but they have to be offset because in one place you're cutting a slot, and the other side you're cutting a slot between the actual dovetails. Anyway, you'll see how that all comes together in a sec. Now, the first thing I'm going to do, because of course the router is turning in this direction, if I run through all these slots turning clockwise, I'm going to get terrible blowout as I emerge from the template, and the whole front veneer of this plywood will be gone. So I'm going to first cut in this direction so that I'm climb cutting, and I've done the first cut against this veneer in the correct direction. And once I've done a couple of passes this way, I'll move the other way, and we'll see how it all goes. All right. Setting up the actual bit in here is a little bit complex too, but again, I'll let you research that if you're actually interested in doing it yourself. Let's go. Okay, so here we go. That just slides into there and down. A little tap. And that's quite a nice joint, is it not? Now, there's still a fine little bit of fine tuning I need to do. I can feel a little bit of a shoulder here, which means the offset between the two is slightly, and I can show you how slightly offset, I can show you how I can fix that. And if I tap this side down a little bit further, you can see that this side is cutting just a little bit too deep, and I can show you how I can correct that too. But on the whole, that has made quite a nice joint. And you get the lovely contrast between the sapele mahogany and the birch, and that's really what I wanted here. And of course we'll see the edge grain of the plywood on the top, but I'll give that a nice sand down ease, and I think it'll make a perfectly nice drawer, which is what Lady Zephyrus really was looking for, to make sure that we could do this relatively well on a budget. Okay, well, on a reasonable budget anyway. So let's go through the steps required to correct these two slight errors. Okay, so the problem was this edge of the mahogany was a bit proud, so I have to lower that ever so slightly. But the amount that I move that, the jig will adjust both the front and the side, and seeing as the side gets flipped, the effect will be doubled. So I only have to bring it down just the slightest amount. And that stop is here on the front, and it's this black piece right here set by that little set screw there. So it's not particularly elegant making this happen, so I'm just going to wing it and we can get through that together. So I'm going to begin by just moving the drawer front over ever so slightly, just that much, and clamp it down. I'll loosen the stop and I'll slide it in against the new position of the drawer front, and then reset the drawer side. Now the other thing that was happening, it was cutting a bit too deep on this side. And this is one of the most precarious adjustments in this thing. I don't know if you can see this small scribe placed across the template here. That scribe would be the transition between the drawer side and the drawer front if you were using 3/4 inch sides. Now because I'm using roughly 1/2 inch, I have to keep adjusting that, and it needs to be moved out ever so slightly on this side. So that requires loosening this lock nut, moving out the brass adjustment nut on the inside, and then tightening it up again, making sure everything stays together just right. And we'll do that again. See how that goes together. Did manage to get a blowout here, but that's the nature of this. This is now very close, and the depth is now right on. Excellent, 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 excellent. Now I'm finding that the base plate of the router is actually biting a little bit against the aluminum. I would have thought this plastic phenolic or whatever it is would slide really well against it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a little bit of my favorite dry lubricant, Jigaloo, what a name, eh? And oh, I can't use that finger yet. And hit this up with some of that, as well as some on the base of the router. Spread that around a little bit. I use this on the table saw and it makes a huge difference, as well as on the router table. Okay, time to commit more mahogany to actual cuts. The drawers are all slightly under 20 wide. This is 2. I'm also going to grain match them so that these 2 will be on the same line. This will be 1. And good morning. Well, last night I managed to cut all the box sides and backs and of course the drawer front. So there's really nothing left to do. No more stalling, no more procrastination. It's time to start routing all those dovetails. This will either go really well. It's just gonna go really well. And here we go. So a little bit of grading to be done. The best edge will be the outer edge, and the very best edge of the outer edge will be inward, which was the one that you'll see the dovetails on. So, and then of course the best top and bottom, we just have to hope that they're reasonable. This is the front face. Now I have to be very careful because I'm sort of grain matching the drawers, so I don't want to mess this up. So the front face will flip over and have its dovetails cut in the back side. Oh yeah. Looks good. I can say that Jigaloo dry lubricant makes this glide like it's an air hockey game. Remember air hockey games? They were fun. Okay. Looking very good. Looking very, very good. Let's try our first fit. Very nice, very nice, very nice. This is gonna go well. Whew. So the one on the right gets a piece of tape on the outside. We stack them up and we move on. Woo! Now, through the course of that full set of routing, there are no deficits in the mahogany, which is good. However, there are two side panels that have small blowouts in them. I'm going to assess them and come up with a strategy to repair them. I have more wood, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Okay, so here's a good example of it. That blowout is unacceptable. So I'm going to have to remake this panel. Now this is the right side of drawer 3. So I'm going to take a new panel. These are not actually spares. These would have been the backs, but they're exactly the same size for now because I suspected this might happen. And it's a good piece. We'll set it up as if we're going to start fresh. And then I'm going to reroute in this jig. Now you might say, why not just route right through here? Well, you're going to get a ton of blowout on the back side if there isn't a backer block. So this should provide a perfectly adequate backer block. It's exactly the same place it was before. Slide it in against the jig. Optically make sure it looks like it's lined up, and it certainly is. Check for flush. All right, now I should be able to just reroute this, and this becomes the new side panel. Yeah. Excellent. Now we have a new right side panel that is perfect. Excellent. Okay, so the next step is to start to make the slots in all these pieces, for the drawer bottoms, which are going to be 1/4" ply. That is going to sit basically in a groove cut just above the bottom edge of the drawer fronts, the drawer backs, and the two sides. So once I set up the table saw to cut those slots, I'm just going to rip and rip and rip until they all work. It's a whole bunch of pieces to run through, but it shouldn't really take that long to set it up. Okay. So now if I set the groove so that it lines up with this dovetail pin, I can cut it in the front panel, and of course it won't be seen at all when the drawer is opened on this side. So that'll work out quite neatly. I just have to be very careful that this groove lands basically inside that dovetail pin, and that shouldn't be very hard to do at all, right? About like that. And that gives me a nice good chunk of solid wood below to act as the support for the base. Now I just have to move the fence over so I can widen the curve so it'll fit over the plywood. I'm actually done with this now. I feel sort of sad. I feel like we're old friends. Anyway, it won't be long before I do another set of drawers for Geordie. Or possibly poem. It's hard to say exactly which is next. All right, I have to start to figure out how big the bases will be. So I'm just going to do a rough assembly of this drawer, if I can figure out which way around. Okay, here we go. And just get that very roughly installed. And then the back panel, which is not cut to length yet. It will be cut to match just inside here. But I think it's going to go about there, with about a quarter of an inch left at the back. Now, proper drawer cabinetry would mean cutting a dado down in here for this to sit in. And well, I'm afraid that's not what I'm going to do. With the advent of modern adhesives and fasteners, I see absolutely no reason to do that. Okay, so let's put the measuring tape on this, if I can find one. There we go. So inside to inside is 18.5, let's say 18 3/4 by the time we're done. Excellent. Okay, as I think I mentioned before, there's no way I can sand these side panels at all. Fortunately, they come nice and smooth, so that's not a problem. Except, let's say I wanted to sand once they're put together to get these edge nice. Have to be very, very, very careful. So other than maybe sanding on these veneer edges, I really can't touch them. What I do want to sand though is the insides of the fronts, because I'm not going to be able to get at those easily again, especially once the sides are on. So just a quick scuff up here. I should say that I did all that sanding with a single sheet of this Cubitron extract, and it's still cutting like new. Awesome stuff. All right then, final assembly. I've only imagined how this is going to go, so we'll see how it really does go. Okay. So I'm going to assemble the dovetails, glue them because they're not coming apart once I hammer them. I have to be very careful when I glue them that no glue exits the outside here, because I said before I cannot sand this later. So it's not going to take much glue, and there's lots of surface area in there. So once the front and the two sides are on, I will then test fit and cut the back. In other words, once it's in, I'll know exactly how long the back shall be. And then I will test fit and cut each bottom, and then glue it in, tack on the back, call it done. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. I think just a little dollop in each, one is all I need. Just a little dollop down there. That'll spread around. Okay. I could probably use a block on here, but I think this will. Oh, That is quite satisfying. There's no doubt about it. Okay. Just a little bit. Goodness, that's satisfying. Okay. Beauty? Fit very, very nicely. So out again. Just a little glue down here. There. And it goes. A little glue here. A little glue here. I will follow up with screws once the glue is dry. That is awesome. Awesome, 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 awesome. Woohoo! Quick check for square. One. Like it. I like it, 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 I like it. Get into a bigger dovetail and you really have a very, very solid joint. Holy man. Whew. 61 years old, just discovered dovetails. What do you think? Come on, eh?
Very nice.
Pretty snazzy, eh?
Yeah.
Look, the doors are already in. This has been immensely satisfying. Okay. And good morning. These are all glued up and so very, very lovely. Time to sand the fronts, ease the edges a little bit, and then get some oil on. First, before I sand off the number on the front, let me transcribe that to the back. Alright then, second round of sanding is going to be with finer sandpaper, plus I'll also sand these edges and ease them a bit too, just to make it ever so nice. then, so now I will dust down and let that settle in here a little bit, and we'll get some oil on at least the surfaces that matter. The inside of these drawers are going to be varathaned, not particularly exotic, but of course the front needs tung oil to begin, and the sides will also get tung oil just so that there's a uniform look around the corner here, followed up by varathane out here afterwards. Okay. All right, I'll let the dust settle in here a bit, and then we'll get to some oil. And we're off. So, as I mentioned, I'm only oiling the faces and the sides. So what I'm going to do is just get it on and let it soak in a little bit, and then rub it clean in a few minutes. Oh yeah. Okay, so I'll keep spreading that around, make sure it's soaking in well for about an hour, and then rub it out with a cloth. All right, all showered up and cleaned up, almost ready to go home. We'll just wipe this out, and it'll be just perfect. Well, I can comfortably say I am completely thrilled with the way this turned out. This is just such a lovely. The contrast between the birch and the mahogany is fantastic. Now, I would say working with plywood was very stressful, but other than the two sides I had to replace, it did work. And of course, plywood is very stable. It makes a very solid box. It's a fraction of the cost of using any other wood for this. And to be fair, I don't mind that sort of Scandinavian kind of look to the veneers of the plywood on top. If this is the sort of thing that you find interesting, please consider sticking around and subscribing. I'd love to have you. And if you find it really interesting, how about a thumbs up or a share to that friend of yours who would also find it interesting? And best of all, if you really like the show, consider supporting it through PayPal or Patreon. Links are down in the description. Now I'm going to build at least 2 more sets of these, one for Poem, one for Geordie, and well, all kinds of other cabinet drawers and kitchen stuff. But so I'm not quite sure how I will do this in the future, but I will definitely be using that Porter Cable dovetail jig. It is an absolute brilliant piece of kit. Anyway, this has got to sit for a little while. Lady Zephyrus has to pick some drawer pulls, and in fact it's not going to get installed aboard Zephyrus until Zephyrus is in the shed here, roughly 3 weeks from now, as we transition Geordie out of here. Lots to do there yet. And we're off with yet another lovely Travels with Geordie beer of the week from the delightful wheelhouse of MV Poem in delightful downtown Victoria with my delightful sweetheart. All right, straight to the beer. Tell us about the dill pickle.
This beer of the week is called, it's a Gose, which is a traditional German ale that is technically on the sour side. Okay. But this one is infused with fresh cucumber, dill, and Himalayan sea salt, which makes it strangely refreshing, supposedly.
Supposedly.
So we're excited about it.
And where's it from?
It is from R&B Brewing in Vancouver, so West Forth.
So it's nice and local.
Nice and local.
Excellent. All right, I'll pour. It has totally become summer here, has it not?
Oh, it's so hot.
It's so hot all of a sudden, and the city is just a buzz. Of course, we live in a tourist town, and when it becomes tourist season, it's really busy. It's kind of fun, but holy mackerel, the hubbub here has gotten over the top. Excellent. Okay, well, let's see what we think of the dill pickle.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, cheers. That is just freaking weird.
That's not bad though. I like it. You hate it?
I haven't done this in a long time.
No, don't do it. Oh.
Cannot drink that. Really?
I mean, it's sour.
Yeah, and
but
it's
pickly.
Good.
It's not pickly though.
Okay.
It's nice. Well, I like it.
Well, there you go. Well, I'm glad you do
Jury
because it's terrible.
Hung.
What's that?
It's a hung jury on that one.
A hung jury on it? Okay, I can't cheers you. I apologize, but congratulations to last week's or the weekend's winner of a Travels with Geordie t-shirt, who is...
Okay, this is a long one. KSCIPK 4 times.
All right, well, if that's you, you've won yourself a Travels with Geordie t-shirt. Send us an email at swag@travelswithgeordie.com and we'll make sure you get your shirt. Cheers.
You can need to try something.
Cheers. No, I don't want any more of that. All right, we'd like to thank a new patron that came aboard in the last little while, and I believe this is also just a series of letters and not a name because there's no U after the Q. It's QORGYLE. I'm sure you know who you are. Thank you ever so much. Sorry for the no beer cheers. Cheers to you. All right, well, it's been kind of a crazy week, running back and forth, getting 2 episodes of this out this week, and next week will be equally as crazy. I think we have something special and fun coming to you next week. Yay. Although it'll probably appear the week after. But anyway, if you know what I mean. All right, all you need now is a word of the week, and the word of the week this week will be quite obviously dovetail, or maybe dove, or maybe tail. Or anyway, I'm sure you can do something with it. Cheers, see you next week.